Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Tuesday Night Poetry. We got a pretty good crowd tonight. And it went pretty late last week, so I guess we're going to have to enforce a 5-minute rule on everybody. You have 5 minutes to do whatever you want. Is that cool? Yeah. I don't really like the rules, but
yeah. Well,
rules suck.
Yeah. All right.
Do you really want to say whatever you want?
Yes.
Yeah. Whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of course, I wasn't naming that
As long as it's
comment.
not hate speech. Hate speech is unacceptable.
If it's 5 minutes of you telling me you hate me, Gary, I'm cool with that.
Oh yeah, if it's 5 minutes telling John you hate him.
But all right. Announcements. Does anyone have any before I go in started ours? So, and our first announcement is that Nathan Graziano will be here next week from New Hampshire. He is on Sunny Outside Press. He's been a friend of mine for about 15 years. And he really is a great guy. He's a great writer. And that's just part of the Second Tuesday, which you guys all know that we've been doing for a while. But Nathan, I'm very excited. And
I don't think who's going to make it. I don't know. Yeah. Flaking out.
But all right. And we had the documentary night the previous Friday. It was not well attended, but it was a lot of fun. And but I guess with that we can get started. I'll just say I'm glad to see everyone here. So, but,
yeah, it's a good crowd tonight. It's a good crowd. Give yourselves a hand.
But the first person that signed up on the list for now is Oscar Cano.
That was you.
All right.
See, we caught you off guard. You didn't sign up for number 1.
Yeah,
you signed up for number 3.
I do wonder, does it have to be poetry that we read, or can be?
No,
does not.
Does not.
Does
Well,
not.
that's good news. Okay.
All right.
OJ, President OJ. He's the president of SOS.
I'm writing a novel. It's called Wedding Rings, and this is just a scene from it. Sui regained consciousness nearly 2 hours later. Her eyes crept open as she came to. Her narrow eyes scanned the room, blank and vacant. Although her eyes were open, it didn't seem like her brain could make sense of what she was seeing. She lowered her head. It drooped as though overburdened by the weight of her newfound cognizance. And then, suddenly, her eyes sprung wide open. Now, don't struggle, I advised her from across the living room as I saw her awaken with a jerk. I was sitting in a recliner across from her with a cup of Darjeeling tea held tight within my fist. She struggled to speak, but couldn't. Frantic vocalizations were held captive in her throat by a single strip of duct tape which was fixed across the length of her mouth. Oh, how rude of me. Would you like a cup of tea? She squealed and struggled. No, of course not. You don't really seem like a tea drinker. I stood up. It's my favorite kind of tea, Darjeeling. You know, they call it the champagne of black teas. I took a loud sip, slurping and vocalizing with pleasure. Oh my, that's good, I grinned. She was seated on a wooden chair in the center of my living room. The curtains had been drawn tight, and the only light in the space was that which drifted in from the kitchen. Her hands were bound to the back of the chair with an unreasonably tight knot, fashioned by the thickest, sturdiest rope I could get my hands on. Similar restraints bound her ankles to the legs of the chair. I tied her down in such a way that the slightest degree of friction would cause for great discomfort. She was my captive. I would not leave anything to chance. I couldn't afford to cut corners at this stage. It looks like you're a little preoccupied, so allow me to describe it to you. I'm a very cultured man, Sweet. I'm sophisticated. The least I can do is educate some simpleton like you in the ways of tea drinking. It's generous of me, I know. I sat down in front of her on the floor. Darjeeling is light and aromatic. Its color is exactly what you'd expect from a black tea, yet its flavor is what sets it apart. I took a whiff of the tea. Steam poured off of the top and tickled my nose as I sniffed. It's best served piping hot, this tea. I don't much care for it iced. In fact, only a barbarian would dare make Darjeeling iced. I reached up from my spot on the floor and caressed her leg. My hand traveled further up her dress before finally coming to rest on her bare knee. Lifting her dress, I placed the scalding hot cup against her inner thigh with a swift motion, allowing a few ounces of the hot tea to spill over the rim of the cup and onto her legs and panties. She thrashed with vigor. I let the cup sit there for nearly a minute, allowing a rosy burn mark to form on her delicate skin. Darjeeling isn't for everyone, though. It's a tea reserved for those of us with good taste, I concluded, pulling away the mug and taking a sip. Tears were streaming from her eyes. Her makeup was running down the sides of her slender face, and upon the strip of gray tape that held her mouth shut. Her grunting and struggling was loud, but not loud enough to attract anyone's attention in this nearly empty apartment complex. I punched her in the nose, from which a trail of blood began to stream. Her blood was sluggish and thick, stubborn. I jabbed her in the nose a second time and increased the flow. Her throat was full of screams that would never be able to surface. They were merely piling up, one on top of the other, until she seemingly swallowed them to keep herself from choking. Her blood didn't taste especially good. I sampled her scarlet nasal discharge, but was decidedly unimpressed. You know how those old wives' tales go, about the blood of young, beautiful women being sweet and whatnot? Well, what a load of shit that was. Her blood tasted like my own. You should have seen the way her eyes grew wide when I licked the narrow strip of flesh between her nose and her upper lip, though. To inspire that degree of fear, to be hated and feared so intensely, was truly rewarding. It was like she was worshiping me with her hatred, taking me to task for all of my misdeeds, acknowledging my superiority in the relationship between predator and prey. I suppose that's all I'll read.
How far along are you with that?
It's 53 pages so far.
Well, that's cool. If you ever want to come do a longer reading of that, let us know, because I enjoyed that. Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. The next person on the list is Michael Grover.
Michael Grover! Yeah.
I just wrote this a couple hours ago. The death of capitalism. It was suicide, quick and clean, though. People cried conspiracy. Some said it was still alive, a government cover-up. It was just a rumor. The news never reported, though they gave hints in between the uninteresting mainstream celebrities. Some acted like it was still alive, still consuming. There never was a funeral, it was swept under the rug. They acted like it was still alive. Even I offered my blood and soul to Moloch. There was no choice in the name of preservation. It was crashing in all around us. Though the media remained optimistic, ignoring the obvious, feeding false dreams, the evangelists prayed for God, begged for God, as if God needed cash, prophesizing fear in the end of days. But what else was new? I left no flowers on an unmarked grave. I did not piss on it. I threw no parties. I did not react, knowing something uglier and more sinister had been born from its death. I went all in on a losing bet, too much faith in humans. Now I'm backed into a corner at the present time at Mac's room. Jazz and pot smoke fill the air. Strong coffee brewing as the guys drink beers, sitting talking, tripping on this conversation, writing this out of me. There's a sticker on the door that says, "Art saves lives." I believe it, but so few people reach for it. I went all in on a losing bet. Now there's stress about rent and basic survival, but I'll survive, it's what I do. Now jazz and pot smoke fill the room. Matt's really feeling it, playing along on the piano. Late at night, hanging out. I realize it's moments like this that restore my faith in humans. Matt, you're a shaman. Eric Dolphy does not play in the box. He's just all over the place doing his thing. Eric Dolphy does not play in the box. Matt goes off about America, how it's killing us with mediocrity, with its privileged bloodlines, celebrities, too many artists dying in obscurity.